Thanks, everybody. I'm Vice Mayor Tom Henning. Want to thank everybody for coming out here. We're just trying to count how many Madeira Stories Live events this has been. This is about the 8th or 9th installment. It is really just one of the most wonderful nights in Madeira, in my opinion. And we've got 5 excellent speakers lined up here. And while we get the speakers amped up, I just want to give a big shout out to John Flood and Brown Dog Films for always doing a wonderful job here with the audio, the visual. I can't thank X Golf enough for having us in here inside the air conditioning, letting us use their space. Yeah, make sure you come back and play some golf and buy some drinks all throughout the summer. They've got some great Dora cups, but you don't want to hear from me. We've got 5 great speakers lined up, so we'll get right into it. So it is my pleasure to introduce the first speaker, David Meredith. The title of his speech is Distinctly Proud. He's a longtime Madeira resident, retired United Methodist minister, and 1 year painted his house yellow. So listen to his journey of learning to be proud to be gay. David Meredith, everyone.
I'll do my best to help. Are we good? Are we good? It's a proud day in Madeira, so we're gonna let everybody hear about it. Being gay is distinctly different than being straight. Thank you. I'm glad to have a amen in the house. Being gay in the 1980s was also distinctly different than being queer today. In 1985, I served as pastor of the Oxford United Methodist Church. I lived under the microscope that comes from being a gay public figure and a faith leader. I also lived in a denomination that said I was incompatible with Christian teaching. I knew differently, and I refused to lie about who I was. That said, it was still 1985. I still lived much of my life under the radar. But I was single, and I was eager to find a husband. Dating wasn't easy. Is it ever easy for anyone? I sought to meet other gay men. I found my gay tribe in Cincinnati. There, I met Jim. Love grew slowly, but it grew. After 2.5 years in a long-distance relationship, we decided to move in together in Cincinnati. So 35 years ago, in 1990, we bought a beige house in the suburban enclave of conservative Madeira. We were a little anxious and a little skeptical, but we discovered that great loves could be made here. It was here that Jim and I nested, loved, lived, struggled, fought, shared, cried, and grew together. And a long-term commitment was distinctly new for us, but we discovered here, in each other, a harbor of love. Thank you, Jim, for 38 years. It wasn't without challenge. The pressures of being a gay couple in Madeira were many. We experienced mean notes slipped into the storm door. We endured a shower of rocks thrown in our garage. We weathered the cold shoulder of a neighbor. And more than one vehicle owner shouted hurtful labels our direction. Even our United States representative to Congress refused to listen to our concerns about the hate we encountered. But we stayed because the grass really isn't greener anyplace else. It's just different. Here's some of the truth about being gay. Some people always despise us. suspect us, and refuse us. The same is sadly, perhaps not surprisingly, true in the church. In 1991, I faced the threat of removal from my pastoral ministry after the word got out to the congregation that I was serving at the time that Jim and I lived together. Sadly, the United Methodist Church was silent. Frustratingly, it was unhelpful. And when I'm truly honest, it was murderously harmful. But I found strength. Strength for me in the distinctive assurance of God's love, which is foundational for me and for all LGBTQ folks. I found that strength from some in the church, and I found a lot of it from Jim. We pressed on. We were out and open among family, close friends, nearby neighbors. We codified our legal rights for health care, finances, and end-of-life matters. We found a measure of security. Nevertheless, in 1993, I lost my position. I was told by the powers that be in the denomination that as long as you live with Jim, there won't be a place for you to serve in the United Methodist Church. I was furious from the hurt. But Jim walked beside me with his own, thankfully, biting criticism of the church. And thanks to him, thanks to God, and thanks to my own stubbornness, I exchanged bitterness for boldness. I decided to walk through that closet door all the way. I was out in a loving relationship, and I wasn't going back. I found non-pastoral work as an executive director of a nonprofit, and I moved distinctly and unapologetically forward. Then, in 1997, the powers that be called to bring me back into pastoral ministry. I was shocked. They quietly offered me a congregation at Broad Street United Methodist Church in Columbus. I could be out, and Jim could be the pastoral spouse. By the way, white gloves and silver tea service don't fit my Mr. Man of God at all. But that appointment came, and it came with a caveat. The caveat was we could be out. We could be open if we made it work. You see, so often persons who are marginalized have to do the heavy lifting for justice and equality. But it was Jim who encouraged me to fulfill my calling distinctively as an openly gay minister who was partnered with a man. So for 15 years, we did it. We traveled back and forth up I-71 as I stepped onto that very public stage. My role in the church grew. My leadership, advocacy, and activism for the fight to help the denomination become affirming of its LGBTQ members, friends, families, pastors, congregations expanded. The mission flourished. It dismayed the denominational authorities, and it frustrated the opponents. As a result, I became the target of forces that sought to remove my credentials and push me out of the church. So it was during this time that our commitment to keep our house and stay in Madeira proved especially life-giving and love-affirming. Though it had not always been so with everyone in our friendly village, it had been true of many, and was increasingly true of our nearest and dearest neighbors. They supported Jim while I was in Columbus. They rallied around us when the pressures increased. They befriended us on the sidewalks with their leaf blowers and snow removal equipment, with the news of the neighborhood at neighborhood parties, and with feedback about our house, our yard, and our garden. It was during this season of our 15-year bi-city relationship that the time came to repaint the house. The neighbors know where I'm headed with this. And Jim and I discussed going from beige and light blue shutters to a slate blue house with light yellow shutters. Anybody who knows me, that's a fairly radical decision for a faithful Buckeye. We looked at colors from 2 computer screens, one in Columbus and one in Cincinnati. We couldn't make up our minds. But the painter was scheduled. So in Columbus, the day before the painting was to begin, I said to Jim, we have to decide. We sat down together, looked at the same screen at the same time. We decided to flip the script completely. We decided to go with a yellow house and blue shutters. We picked our favorite. And then I became a little hesitant when I read its name. Distinctly yellow. Now, I love color, but I still said to Jim, are you sure? The name of the paint is distinctly yellow. And he said, yes. So the painter bought the paint, started the next morning. Within hours, I got a call in Columbus from our neighbor, Betty. David, do you know what Jen is doing? She tattled. He's painting your house yellow. That's the kind of neighbors we have. They pay attention. They even question us. I replied, yes, Betty, we picked the color yellow together. She relaxed, though it still took quite a while for her and a few of our neighbors to warm up to the color. That's why when we painted our house Copper Harbor 2 years ago, we started with 3 swatches of 3 different orange paints on the north side of the house and invited our neighbors to come and vote. All is better, all is well. The house is Copper Harbor orange with blue shutters. This is what makes me proud of Madeira. These neighbors have provided space for us to be our unique selves, to love, to make a home, to thrive here. Yes, indeed, great lives are made here. Our neighbors mean and meant so much to us that we insisted they be a part of our wedding. In 2016, after the Obergefell decision made same-gender marriage legal, and after 29 years of being together. Like the yellow paint on our house, they are distinctly Madeira. Like the orange paint now, those neighbors are supportive harbor. The Madeira Inclusion Committee formed in 2021 and hosted the first Pride picnic. Thank you, Nancy Spencer. Thank you, Jody Whitted. Today marks the 5th. The Pride picnic announced to all of Madeira that its LGBTQ residents were seen, recognized, and affirmed as full citizens. Distinctly Madeira pride was made here. Jim and I found a harbor in Madeira in the midst of the resistance of both the world and the church. I stand before you because I'm distinctly proud to be gay. I'm distinctly proud to be in love with Jim. And I'm distinctly proud to live in Madeira.
David, thank you very much. Incredible story. And Jim, thanks for being such a big part of that. All the neighbors as well. Thank you very much.